Action. History lesson. So when I started Solana development, the way to interact with Solana using TypeScript was the Web3.js. And then they developed the Web3js in version 2, which later got renamed to the Solana Kit. And for basically the last year or so, I've been always using the Solana Kit because it is the better technology to use. However, just because it's better doesn't mean that the users also want it. And the users in that case are the devs. Since a lot of the old examples still use the Web3.js and people just got used to it. So a lot of people still use the Web3.js, which is just worse from a technical perspective. However, that's why the people from Blueshift rebuilt it using the kit as the underlying structure, but the same interface as the Web3js in version 1. And that will become the Solana Web3js in version 3. And right now there is a release candidate out for this, and I want to have a look at that. And with that, hello and welcome to another Solana tutorial. Today we're gonna have a look at the release candidate of the Solana Web3js in version 3. Because that's gonna be relevant. I mean, is it gonna be relevant? We will see. To the devs, there should not be a difference. Just the underlying technology will change, not the code itself, right? So as a dev, you wouldn't care. But I do care, because it would mean when using that, it's fine using the Web3js because it's also efficient and tree shakeable and all those things. All the nice properties that the Solana Kit has, the new Web3js, or the new Web3js, will also have. Or will it? I don't know. Haven't looked at it. But that's what I'm gonna do today. So let's get started. Looking at the Solana Web3js in version 3. Daka-daka-dee. Where are we? Solana Foundation, Solana Web3js. There we have it. The version 3 release candidate 1. It's a pre-release. Okay. We will see. Possibly some things will change. Oh, there was a release candidate 0 that migrates internals to utilize the Solana Kit. And then there were some more changes now. I have not used the Solana Web3js in so long. I don't even know if I still know how to use it. Because I thought, that's gone. We don't need that anymore. We have the kit now. But with that, it's coming back. Side note, it was never really gone because people kept using it. That's why they developed this. But here we are. We want to check out this. Fine, yeah, okay, let's do it. Let's go. Add this. Then we will have one dependency. Solana 3 RC1. Let's create a file and see if we still remember how to work with this. So, import from Solana Web3js. The first thing you always did was create a connection with new connection, Cluster API URL definite. So that was the RPC connection thingy. We somehow got a key pair from secret key, or we can generate one that I could read from file as I usually do. So we need a uint8 arrays. We could parse. I'm gonna grind myself a vanity address that starts with W3. Cool, but I found a Web3js. I'll take that. So import everything from FS. There we go. And then from FS, I can, how was that? Read file from my key, this one. So that will be buffer, just do toString. So that's a string. I JSON parse this and put that into the key pair thingy. Great, that should load my key pair. Let's just see if we can get that far. I'm gonna call it signer because that's what the kit would say. Alloc, oh, that is still, wait, what is async? Oh, this is async. Wait, did I change that? Top level await. Oh yeah, we have top level awaits then. So our classic function that does this, and we'll call it right away. Then we shouldn't have that problem. There we go. That works. But was that always async? I don't remember this being async. So let me check. By doing a version 1, and here I will pnpmi the Solana Web3js. So that's version 1.98. They're running out of numbers soon because version 2 is taken with the kit. So that's why they bumped from 1.9 to version 3 directly. Anyhow, we have a UTF-8 validate dependency. Whatever that means. Clear. I don't even want to see it. And so now in here, we will also have the Solana Web3.js, but this is the regular old version. Soon, or eventually, the V3 will become the regular version. But that was ultimately the plan with the Web3js in version 2, but version 2 was so different that people didn't want to change, and it would have broken too many things if they would have just changed the Web3js to version 2, because everything would have been broken. With the version 3 though, they'll have the same things, and they might need to fix a few little things. That's what we are here to find out. So if I have the same script that I wrote here, in here, I should maybe call them differently. Let's call this the Web3 V1 demo. So yeah, it seemed like that the key pair was always async. No, wait, gives me a key pair. I don't need to await this here. Yeah, it wasn't async, but in this version it is. So yes, a few little things will change, and I guess the code will not be one-to-one exactly. Also, because address, I think, was never a thing. I think there it's still pub key. Yeah. The good old times with the pub keys. But no, that's good that they're also changing that. That's fair. So it's not 100% the same code. You will have to change stuff. For instance, pub key to address, and you might need to await a few things. But overall, the big picture is the same, right? So this thing will also print... No, it will not. Bad secret key size. Oh, because that thing requires the entire... Hold on. From a raw secret key byte array. Does that mean it only wants... Because the file should be the same. But maybe that only really wants the secret key, like the first 32 bytes, and not the entire key pair, which, if we read this, create a key pair from a raw 64-byte secret key, 32 private followed by 32 public key. So that takes the 64, whereas this maybe just takes the 32. Let's see. So this thing, I'm gonna do it in 2 steps because otherwise that one line is getting too big here. Gonna read the key bytes as this, and I'll specifically have that a number array because I know that's what we have here. And then the key, I just give the 32. That's not how you write TypeScript. Wait, how do you write TypeScript? Can you not write it like that? Oh, how do you TypeScript again? Oh, number, hold on, slice. Has a freaking function for that. But a number array is not assignable to a uint array. Okay, does that fix it? Maybe. Bad secret key size. Give me that. That looks fine. Yes, always print private. Okay, let's just see what this thing takes. Uint8 array of 32 bytes. Is that what you need? Nope. Of 64 bytes. Is that what you need? Provided secret key is invalid. Okay, but that's the right size then at least. That makes more sense because if I have all zeros, then the pub key doesn't match the private key anymore. So my question then still remains, why do you not like the original key bytes? Wait, let me just check that the length is good. Log this. It's 64. Bad secret key size. What? Okay, let me try something. What you should never do, copy the key in here. Or copy another key in here. 3JJ, how about this one? What about new uint8 array of this? This is now the literal key pair here. This it takes. So what is it messing up here then? Something with the conversion is wrong then. Maybe I do a new uint8 array of the key byte. How about that? That will work. Okay, so I just need to make a new uint8 array of that. Fine. So that got easier. Legit, I just put in that. If I want to do the same line, look, I'm going to do the same line as here, putting that out, the key bytes, and then I can put the key bytes into here directly, and in the V3, that just works. No need to do a uint8 array of that. So yeah, makes it easier. Nice. It takes more varied input types here. I like it. But we do need to await this, because otherwise we have a promise. Which is also a good thing, so we can do stuff asynchronously more. But we will need to write more await statements. Also, another difference that we see is the address just prints the flat string, whereas in this demo with the V1, it prints this pub key object. Like, hey, this is a pub key with this address. That's the actual hex representation of it. That's the actual big number behind the scenes. Because the kit works with strings, the Web3js worked with buffers or like a big number. It's just a difference what's in the backend. The interface, like how we interact, mostly stays the same. Just a little bit of difference here with the pub key becomes the address. And we gotta add that away. So far, so good. What else did we do with the Web3js after we had our signer? Usually you wanna create a transaction and then send that. That's the most basic example. Or maybe let's start with an instruction and then put that instruction into a transaction. That's how it works. This is just a reminder of how the Web3js work because it's been a while. So I used to always call it IX and create an instruction. Let's do system program transfer, for instance. And then you say your base pub key. Wait, no, that's just for... Why is that not optional? I'm not doing a transfer with seed. I'm just gonna imagine that those are optional. So I just need the from pub key, which is my signer pub key, a to pub key, which is my, I don't know, I'm gonna create a new one just so we see how that went. New key pair, random key pair. So receiver pub key, and there was this nice Lampert's per sol that we had in the Web3js, and then we can specify in sol. Let's transfer 0.1 sol. There we go. That's the instruction that you would then put into a transaction just with new transaction, and then you can transaction add an instruction. So now the instruction is in the transaction. Cool. So far so good. Let's see how that part would look in version 3. Because obviously we don't have the same things here. Constructor of class key pair is private, so we can't do it like that. We need to say key pair generate. Guess that's gonna do the same thing, except it gives me a promise for a key pair. So we gotta say await, fixes that. Was there a key pair generate here? Yes, there was. Create a new random key pair, which is, I guess, what that thing does. I don't see the implementation. I could look it up, but we're just gonna assume that it does the same thing. So system program transfers the same. Interestingly, that works though. I can still say signer.pubkey. Ideally, I would say address, but pubkey also works to be backward compatible, but it really returns an address. So it would be the same as this, except no, it wouldn't be, because that will get me an address and the system program transfer still needs the pub keys. Is that true? Okay, then it literally stays the same. And the Lampert's per sol we can also just import. Okay, new transaction, we also just import. So literally, except that we can't say new key pair, it's the exact same. And also this is called from pub key, that is an address. So they didn't change the names, right, of these things. Yeah, good. And they don't want to change their code. That's why we're doing this. Anyway, so good. Literally not much different. Returns an address, but address returns a kit compatible address. Ah, so that's the difference. So once that address seems to be still a Web3 type of address, and that address seems to be a kit type of address. So that's a kit thing, but really when you're working with a Web3js, you still use the pub key, which they also call address. So eventually they might, change that, but that's a different type of address than this address. That's not confusing at all. Look, because the one thing is this, that's the kit compatible address. And then the other thing is this. Look, now it's address, not pub key. With address, that's the public key. And the pub key bytes, that's a uint8 array. So still different than what we had here with the pub key and that thing, but the same type. Like it's still this object, because the kit is working more with functional programming. So this is just a string, and here there's actually an object where behind that address is actually 32 bytes. That's how the Web3js works with it, also in version 3. Okay, good to know. Moving on. Now that we have a transaction, how do we send it? There was a send and confirm transaction. It takes the connection, the transaction, and the signers, which in my case is just that one signer. And then we have options where we could say we want a certain commitment or we want to skip pre-flight. Good old confirm, let's go. And that thing will give me a promise for a signature. So we await this, and then we get the string. Great. So we can log this signature. So far, so good. Is that gonna work? We will see. I'm not sure if I need to get a block hash myself and if I need to set the fee payer. Possibly. Let's see what happens if I do this. It seemed to go that far already. With attempt to debit an account but found no record of a prior credit, which is fair enough because my address has no sol on DevNet. Good that there's the faucet. Good, but with 1 sol on this address, it should actually work now. There you go. That's a transaction. You didn't even have to put a block hash in there or anything. Automatically sets the fee pair as well. Nice. That does it all for us. And just to confirm, here it is. We sent 0.1 sol to this random address, which might not be a smart idea because we're burning sol, because that address actually, I didn't store the private key for it because I just generated that and then throw it away. So maybe we want to send fewer lamperts. Okay, good. But yeah, that's the exact same I expect as here in the version 1 works the same. And also that actually gives me a promise for a transaction signature. So nothing actually changes here. Yeah, great. So in this minimal example, we saw that literally 1 or 2 things changed. If I take that code from the version 1 demo, I could put it here to the version 3 demo. And all I would need to change is add an await here, use a different function here because it doesn't like constructors, and add the await. But otherwise, the code stays the exact same. Even to the degree where some stuff is getting simpler, like we wouldn't even need this uint8 array here. Nice. Good. I mean, that's a good first look that we had at the Web3js in version 3. What else changed though? Let's have a bit of a closer look. I'm sure there's more. Maybe I even find docs. For half a decade, the Solana Web3js has been how developers apps interact with Solana. Today we're giving it an upgrade. The kit got the internals right. The tree shakeability, it's properly typed, smaller bundles, fast enough. Web3js was the API everyone wanted. Nah, I would disagree with that. It's just the API that was there first, so everyone got used to it, and that's why they kept wanting it. If we had the kit from the beginning, I think it would be a different story, but we don't need to discuss that because that's not the reality we live in. So the Web3js in version 3 is both kit internals with the interface you already know on top. Great. Smaller bundles, leaner dependency tree, better performance, and the library code back up to the product. Everything without the community-wide rewrite. Yeah, because that's what nobody wants. Just a simple version bomb. Ooh, there are new methods. And it's faster. Try out the migration agent skill on your apps. There is even an agent skill for migration. We did have a look at agent skills in one of the previous videos, in case you want to know what that is. But let's have a look at that. So this is the guide for humans. I think that's this. Yeah. But then also there's a skill to let the AI do it. So yeah, you could just tell your agent to migrate your apps for you because the rules are there in this skill. Also, if you're a human, you might want to read this instead. So we now change to address and the pub key is deprecated. And if we're using Web3js code, we need to still use the pub key, and address exists for Solana Signer API. So we seem to now be able to use other functions with this API. Legacy sync signing and signature verification paths are gone. It's now all async. Committed commitment now defaults to confirmed rather than finalized. Buffer oriented internals move to uint8 array. Nice. Many numeric fields now use big ints. Okay, that's one of the themes that I actually don't like about the kit. But yeah, efficiency, whatever. Many responses are read only, and we removed legacy API, the unique on the address and pub key and account. Fee calculator methods and buffer layout surfaces are gone. Because fee calculator, that might change. New codecs and generated client baked flows replace many older manual buffer layout backed assumption. So if we migrate, we need to take care of those bigins, and we should expect an uint8 array versus an account info buffer. That's also the same thing that we already saw here. This is a buffer versus this is a U8 array with the address. And it's the same with the account infos. If a decoder still requires a buffer converted at the edge instead of carrying the buffer through the app. And the async key generation and PDA derivation replace the sync assumptions with async flows. That's what we saw so far as well. We need to add some async stuff. Some stuff gets read only. We now have type stuff like address, block hash, slot, lamperts replace the old plain types. If we use to connection get account info for the receiver, that would be an account info of buffer of array like. So account Lamperts, maybe I should do this. If we get an account back and want to log the Lamperts, that thing is a number, whereas if we do the same thing with version 3, then that thing is a bigint. And also a difference in the account data, because that is a uint8 array versus here it's a buffer. So the types changed a bit. You can see that in action. So it received those Lamperts. In the version 1, that was number. Oh, hold on. There we go. This behaves differently. Or not. Wait, let me get. Oh, there we see. There we see another thing that makes it different. Because if I do it with a Web3js, then I immediately get the Lamperts and the data. But if I do it with one, then I don't. Why? Because my default commitment is finalized and I said here I just do confirmed, but then the get account info I'm doing with finalized per default. So I need to tell that to also use confirmed. Only then will it actually also print me that. So we see here with the version 1, this is a number and the data is a buffer, where with the version 3 it was a bigint and a uint8 array. Nice. So that's that part. Address 58 now returns the branded kit address rather than a string. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, we used to do that a lot as well, actually, with signer pub key to base 58 to get the address as a string. But if we do that in version 3, then it returns us this address, the typed thing from the kit. So that's an address now, where before there was just a string. Tja. Fun. Nice. So the migration doesn't come for free. We do need to change stuff, but it's a lot fewer things that we need to change than compared to if we wanted to migrate from the Web3js to the kit. Speaking of the kit, don't like the system program stuff here anymore. Where are we going next? The new account, how would we change that? So for instance, if we wanted to hardcode this address, instead of generating a new key pair every time in the Web3js, we could have done how was it? Pub key? It was new pub key. That's what I always did. Yeah, and then just the receiver, of course. That will also work. Look, now it's got more. So that works in the version 1, but with v3 we don't have a new pub key anymore, or at least we shouldn't use it anymore. It's deprecated. If we say new address, but with new address it's fine. That's what you want here, right? You want an address. So just create a new address. But then what did it warn me here? High risk search terms new account. What am I supposed to do with new account? That makes me think that they removed this, but it seems to still be available, no? Yeah, that works fine. Okay, but while we're comparing, let's do one last thing. Let's see if it's actually better. Better in which terms? Well, we can compare a few things, like we could analyze the folder sizes where v1 is just slightly bigger, but that's with all the npm packages. The real advantage comes from tree shakeability if you compile it or something. So that only really makes a difference if we would pack it, like for a webpack or something. Can we do that? But I'm using file system, so that's not gonna be nice. We're gonna try some stuff now, just for fun. And first I want to get rid of this dependency, because if you build it, you don't want to use the file system. So we're just gonna YOLO hardcode this key, because we can. Not because we should, but because we can. Now we'll need to say new array from this to make that work. Okay, same here. Then we don't need this. Rest stays the same. Now, what I want to do, we're bundling it. We're bundling the Web3 v3 demo. Done. Now this is our bundle. It has a bunch of stuff. You know, decent 17,000 lines. Cryptographic operations are only allowed in a secure browser context. What am I doing when I do create key pair from bytes? I can only do that in a secure browser context, so I can't directly run this. Well, that sucks. But that's not what I was testing anyway. Let's do the same thing in the v1 and add this package. Create this out bundle from my Web3 v1 demo. There we go. And this thing has 740 kilobytes, where the other one had 644 kilobytes. So, you know, it's not a huge difference, but it's a difference. I would have expected that to be even bigger, honestly. But yeah, here we have 20,000 lines. It's also not the best comparison, lines versus lines. We did compare file size. But yeah, point is, version 3 is a bit more efficient in packing. Okay, but maybe you're not interested in that. Maybe you're more interested in actual execution speed. Let's see if there's a difference. Can we maybe measure execution speed of that? And obviously, as soon as we get to like transaction sending and confirming, we're dealing with network stuff, so that's gonna ruin our test. But we can test until here, basically. So I'm gonna take the start time, and then I'm gonna take the end time down here, and then print the transaction creation time. Let's go. And the same thing also in here. Let's go. Same start and end. Let's see. We start with version 1. Let's go. That was 36 milliseconds. Let's see how like consistent that is if I do it several times. 34, 33, 46, 28, 32, that range. Okay, let's see if it's any different with version 3, the release candidate. MPX TSX demo. Let's go. 8, 6, 6. Well, that's a meaningful difference. No, that like every time I run this, just that part up here. And even though I'm logging 2 things, here I was logging 2 things, here was just logging 1 thing. Maybe that also makes a difference, because console logs, not as bad as in a Solana program, but console logs might also take some time. So with that change, V1 is at 28, 29, 29. So roughly 30 milliseconds. Yep. Pretty consistently at 30 milliseconds for executing that part here. And my V3, this demo, without printing, it will be at 8 seconds. 6 milliseconds. 6.6, 5.5, 7.9, 5.5. So what was the average? 8 if we're conservative. Versus 30, that's like a 4x improvement in execution speed. I mean, granted, it's just this one specific thing that I'm executing here. This is not a general how much it's faster, but it is notably faster. To my surprise, actually. I wouldn't have thought that I can showcase this so clearly. But yeah, the kit internals are just faster. Do you really need that speed in TypeScript? Meh. But is it good to have that speed in TypeScript? Absolutely. It's better than wasting time on inefficient code or something. So that's why the new version of the Solana Web3js, the release candidate 1, is more efficient in execution time, in packing space, and it uses the kit internals for address. You'll have to use async stuff, and we are losing a few deprecated APIs. But overall, I think this upgrade of the Web3js to version 3 is a really nice thing. And I'm looking forward to it being properly shipped. And of course, we're gonna analyze it more then. Once with 3 ships, the program classes like system program will effectively be wrapped around the Kodama generated Solana programs. In the next major release, it's time to eliminate those. And if we decide to do this, we should make them deprecated. Yeah, that was actually one of my open questions. Like here, the system program, this seems to use types that we don't want to use anymore and just But it's backward compatible, right? It is the same as you would with the version 1. So they leave it the same. Even though under the hood, this will actually call the Solana program system package. Look, because it's getting that from the kit and it's getting, let's look at the source. Kit adapters, pair. It's cool. So basically it just uses the kit internally now. What did I just want to look at? The programs, system program, transfer. There, we get a from kit instruction of the get transfer sol instruction. That's it. That's what it does. We just need to convert the addresses from a Web3 pub key to a kit address here and make that a big int. Then we create this get transfer sol instruction, and then we do this whole from kit instruction. So we can work also with the kit in our application and just do the from kit to be able to use it. If I wanted to update, like here, if instead of this stuff, I wanted to do pnpmi Solana program system and create my instruction like this with a get transfer sol instruction. Here the amount I can again do like this, but that will need a big int. So I need to say big int still, or just say n here, then it makes it, oh, then I can multiply that. But it can, hold on, it can be a number. It can be number or big int, so that's fine actually. Destination is receiver, 2 base 58, because that gets me the kit address, and the source is my signer. And the signer is an actual key pair, and the key pair I can actually use as a transaction signer. That's also cool. So that type, that key pair type, is actually a transaction signer that I can just put in here. It is working with the kit. I love that. And the only way how I can get it in there, oh wait, I don't need to do anything to get it in there. That just also works to get this transfer sol instruction directly into that transaction. I don't even need to put it back into a from kit to Web3 instruction. That just also works. I don't need to go through a system program transfer. I can use the get transfer sol from instruction from the Solana program system package. And that should also work and is now even a bit faster maybe. Nah, seems to be quite the same. It's the same. But it works. It works. To celebrate, let's send another 07 and then call it a day. That's it. The Web3js with kit internals. Can recommend. Yeah, what more do you want? We proved that it's more efficient and that it's basically the same for the developers. It's more compatible with the kit now. So why wouldn't you upgrade to the Web3 v3? I give you a reason. No, I don't have one. You being lazy and not wanting to do the conversion, but then tell your agent to do it for you. It's simple as that. There are skills for that. So yeah, I think we're good with that. I think I'm gonna stop here and be like, thanks for watching. We did have a look at the new Web3js, at the newest Web3js, and I like it. Same or almost same, like 8% the same as before. We lose some, we gain some, but that's how that is with major version updates. I do really enjoy that they're going in the direction of efficiency and bringing the kit to the Web3js basically. So it was split off and now it's coming back together. I'm in that weird situation where I'm like, well, with that, we could totally go back to just using the Web3js because that's what most people use. However, I did become very comfortable just working with the kit directly, so you probably will still see me using the kit in most of my videos. But now you know that it's fine to use the Web3js as well, because once that updates to version 3, it's almost as efficient. And you don't have to bother with learning how the kit works if you know how the Web3js worked. So that's cool. I like that. You can basically choose what you like more. Personally, I still prefer the kit just because I'm so used to it now. There are some things that I don't like about it, but then there are also some things that I don't like about the Web3js, so maybe I will mix and match in the future. But first, we gotta wait until that is actually officially released, because that was just a release candidate, and I will probably make another video once it's officially out and we have the final 3.0 version and we can see what changed, what's new, what's gone. But as a first glance, it's good. I approve. The Web3 in version 3 for you and me. Yippee. Here's some other videos that you can watch. Like this one if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you have not done that already. And I will see you in the next one looking at some other Solana development stuff. Because that's what I do here on this channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.